All right. It looks as though we are live.
What's happening, boys?
Welcome, everybody. We got our friend Joel here, who's got a Kickstarter for his game that is already out that you can get on Drive-Thru RPG. It is fantastic. It is called Lone Wolf Fists. This is an insanely super-powered RPG, the type of thing where you can throw like aircraft carriers around at certain after a certain point. It's bananas, and it is, I would say, the true successor to Exalted, in my opinion. Current Exalted is not in a good way, and this is so much better. It's so cool. Super useful stuff in this book as well. We've talked about it on the channel many times before. We ran a one shot of it with our locals crew, and tonight though, Joel is here to talk about the game. But not only that, he has his own Kickstarter going right now for the first supplement for this, which is going to be Acid and Steel. The link is in the description, so go follow that. It's going to be launching, I believe, in December, correct?
December 1st, yep. Ringing in
December 1st.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, weirdly, I was looking back. Apparently, my first Kickstarter was also in December. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, we were trying to get in before the holidays, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But
It was
let's
a pretty
say
successful Kickstarter. Yeah, that made twice what I asked for. So
that's awesome. What more could you ask for?
exactly.
Let me see here. We got Benjamin
going
here
on?
saying he's got me backed, if anything.
Nice.
Yeah, hell yeah. Benjamin.
I don't know if there was chats before that, but this is all that Restream is showing us. Hey, get away from there. Leave it. Come sit down.
I like to think that's also
Sorry.
directed towards Benjathan.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Get off the counter, Benjathan.
We got Shape Take here.
What's going on, man?
Before I got Cults of Zahak, I always felt incomplete. Now I'm finished. Roland Stag is a great YouTuber. We got him here. I've read through Lone Wolf Fists, quick start, and I can't make heads or tails of how the dice work. Well, we can
you
explain
poor
that.
man.
Yeah, it's
We should get to that. Yeah,
it's
unusual.
actually it's unusual, but it's very simple. It's very cool. I'm also smooth brained, so that probably explains it. Yeah.
No, it's,
okay.
Trust me, dude. Like, I would say that the biggest question I get is like, how the hell do you make the dice work? So don't feel bad.
Yeah, it's not so much like the die mechanic is easy enough. It's just that this is such a departure from what normies are used to with like D&D. This has no DNA in the dice of
Right.
Dungeons and Dragons. It
Yeah,
is a
it's kinda
dice pool system, but
it's
it's
descended from ORE. Like ORE does the dice mashing too. So and yeah, that's not a like no one plays ORE. I've never met anyone in the wild who's like, oh man, one roll engine, let's rock.
Yeah.
Never. Great game though.
yeah. Swedish nuns will have to do out of SIGs and nothing open. That sucks. I'm very sorry to hear
That's
that.
rough, man.
Wait, it doesn't say nuns, it says snus.
Or snooze. There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah.
Snooze?
We got Grognard here. How's it going, Spencer? Good to see you, man.
What's happening, man?
And I want to say to everybody, happy Thanksgiving. And before we get to
Right.
talking about your product, we do have a little bit to shill here for our own.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
guys notice, if we can move the microphone this way for a second, Young Steve Buscemi is wearing some Black Lodge Games merch. We have a No Apologies, No Compromises
Hell yeah.
Helm of Authority, as well as the No Apologies, No Compromises Black Lodge Games t-shirt, which is available in many sizes.
Yes.
And
Which is unironically extremely comfortable.
a very comfortable shirt.
And I did laundry. It did not melt.
Yeah.
Highest quality.
Everything is still intact, very comfortable. We do have every size available for the t-shirt. But if you try to get a 5XL, you will be paying the fat tax. It is $250.
That's true. So
yeah. We
Damn.
did set that
the
price.
choice is yours.
Right. The choice is yours. But yeah, we got merch. It's on. You can go to our YouTube channel, and we got a store there. It's also at blacklodgegames.com. We got mugs. We got everything. So
Pre-workout bottles,
pre-workout bottles. Yeah,
hoodies,
shirts,
hats.
We may put up a bikini at some point because that is an option through this print-on-demand service.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, we definitely should. But it's good stuff. I'm gonna get a sweatshirt, a hoodie, very shortly here. But enough about our stuff. Let's get back to the chat here for a little bit, and then we'll start talking shop about the book. We got Wing Newts here. Good to see you, man. You're in Australia. Oh my gosh,
Oof.
what's it like being upside down? You switched places on the couch. I don't think we did.
We
Maybe
definitely
it's got us
didn't.
reversed. I don't think so.
Maybe.
Question for Joel: have you ever played prototype games?
Prototype games? What do you mean?
Maybe the video game
game?
series Prototype.
Oh man, no, I actually stopped playing video games right around PS3. I will occasionally
Yeah.
catch a more new title because I've got a nice, sexy computer I can use to run them now. But it's pretty rare. Like I'm way behind the curve with that stuff.
Yeah.
My last Metal Gear was Metal Gear Solid. Was it 4? I think it was 4 where you're Old Man Snake. I didn't get to play
Yeah.
Revengeance, and I've regretted it every moment since.
I know. Revengeance. My friends have all recommended that to me. It's apparently the best game ever. Like super fun. It's like a Bayonetta style combat.
God, it looks so stupid and great. I love it.
Incredible meme game. Like it has the best. Like memes are still being spawned out of it. Toro was actually in our one shot of Lone Wolf Fist.
That's true.
He's the only one who survived. Yeah.
Hey, hot dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they sent a Titan after you, dude. Like you are right now, as of now, the only person I've ever met who survived an attack by a Titan.
Yeah, because he ran.
Good job. Come to the Discord. Come to Fistiverse. We'll give you a little crown.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Big late games. Use this bit again. Yeah.
That's right.
We are often late. Let me see here who we got. Space Roadie's here. Based Greg Stoltz appreciator. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, Stoltz is a genius.
Stoltz is great. I really enjoyed when Requiem first came out, the novels came out with it. He did A Hunger Like Fire, A Marriage of Virtue and Viciousness, and I think one more. And I really, really liked A Hunger Like Fire. My brain is so smooth you could roll a quarter right down the middle.
Based.
We got merch, shirts that don't melt. You're spoiling us exactly.
Yep.
And yeah, we are streaming on a Wednesday because tomorrow's Turkey Day.
Yep.
We're all Americans here. Even if you are upside down in Australia, you can also celebrate Thanksgiving. Clark is a true artist. His game is incredible. Can't be bothered to clean off his webcam.
I'm too busy being genius to do things like personal hygiene.
Right.
That's right.
Slander and lies. I didn't run. I just didn't bother attacking because I was already half dead.
Thank you, Tora, for the $5. That's right. You were half dead. Someone's asking for programmer socks, BLG programmer socks. We are looking for a supplier. Yeah.
That is too funny.
It's too funny not to sell those. We're sitting in opposite spots. I don't think we are. We're definitely not sitting in opposite spots. It must have just
How does
mirrored.
it look like on the stream?
I don't know. I mean, it looks fucking normal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are where you always are.
Yeah. Maybe there's
Except
been a.
I'm wearing the hat this time.
That's true. That might be.
Maybe
yeah,
that's
and
the
I'm
thing.
usually wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Question. I've published a game on Drive-Thru and am awaiting a softcover proof copy. The question is, did you guys receive a hardcover proof and is it worth it?
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 100% worth it.
This
get,
is
get a hardcover proof.
Yeah, this is a Drive-Thru hardcover proof. Our Shucked Oyster books are back there, the ones that are sadly had some issues. But yeah.
Yeah, no, as a publisher though, like absolutely get the hardcover proof. This is what you want to sell to people because it'll survive a gaming table, and you want to be able to look through it and make sure it looks and feels right.
Right.
There's a lot of little things that are missing from this. Like I never did an index. I didn't know how at the time. I've since figured it out.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it felt right aside from those little omissions. But yeah, so absolutely get the proof. It's a little, but do it. Get the proof.
Yeah. It just Drive-Thru just varies in quality with everything. Like this really sucks. So Victor Gorchev, he had ordered his proofs for Modern Necessities, and his hardcover came in, and they had printed like the cover, the image was totally askew, and it was like there is a 0% chance that he submitted a cover file with an image that was not oriented right. So it just it's kind of luck of the dice. But yeah, it's we are very satisfied with how the Shucked Oyster has come out. We're also going to put it up in some other places as well after, once it's actually for sale. But Drive-Thru is kind of the only game in town, I think. If
Yeah,
if you put up the bikini, you will regret it. That's true. We might get
Will we, though?
dudes buying it or
But
something.
we don't have to see
I'm not
that,
gonna
though.
wear it. Yeah.
We don't have to wear it. We don't have to see it if you do buy it. We just get the money.
They're saying we're gaslighting and that we are sitting on the other side of the couch. 4:35 a.m. crew represent. Like the video, y'all liked the video. Oh yeah, we put out an amazing shit post today about the news cycle, which I highly recommend you watch after this. But happy Thanksgiving to everyone that resides in the States. Don't celebrate that here in Northern Europe, but sure wouldn't mind some turkey and filling a
Yeah,
mash.
you should
Nice.
celebrate anyway.
Yeah, you
just
should.
don't go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, it does actually show us the super chat here. Okay, cool.
Nice.
That's good to know. All right. The camera is reversed. The text on the shirt is backwards.
Oh,
Interesting. Well, you know what?
it's too late to fix it now.
Yeah, it's too late to fix it now. Yeah, the stream is mirrored. Ridiculous. All right.
Alternative facts.
You should just watch the stream in a mirror.
Yeah.
It is really hard to find people to play Exalted in person. That's true. I have found, though, if you actually have a hardback of Exalted and go to your friendly local game store, you can usually pitch it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, you can be a demigod and do this, and almost
Yeah.
no matter what you open to, something awesome has happened.
Yeah, there's something
maybe not.
rad
Yeah.
Do you
so-
want to really be doing that, though?
at the local game
At the
store.
local game
Yeah,
store.
I don't
Pitching
know.
anything to anybody there.
It's tough.
It depends on where you go to find people. If I'm in the local game store, 99% of the people there are playing Magic. So
Yeah.
I find the social recluse who isn't doing that and is like off in a corner. That's who I pitch to. And I found that
Yeah. You
whether
find
or
the
not
trust
that's a
gets up.
long-term good idea, in
Right.
the short term, that'll get you an Exalted player.
Anyway, all right, chat. I think we've said enough to you. Cell Socks is here. Good to see you, man. It's Mirror Universe
What's up?
BLG. This is set the evil set like powered by the apocalypse.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
don't speak
and
Forbidden Games name here.
one last thing. I finally bought Mithras on your recommendation.
Nice.
I'm very excited to get my physical copy and dig in. The PDF is pretty great too.
It is.
It is amazing. And we will talk about Cults of Zahak and what we've been doing with that a bit later. But
I'm actually really interested to hear about that. I know this is kind of my stream, but you guys are going to pitch me on cults. It's gonna
yeah,
be
we
great.
can we can
We
do
can
that at the
towards the end.
We'll do that at the end. But
We wanna
what
give
we
you
want to
your
talk about
time.
is kind of give you the let you give the elevator pitch for Lone Wolf
elevator
Fists
pitch.
first,
Oh, God,
and
I gotta-
then
I'm just going to
talk
read the
about-
back of it. I'm not going to. I
yeah,
already
then-
wrote an
then
elevator
We'll talk about
pitch.
Acid and Steel.
Okay. So again, the elevator pitch is very, very simple. If you liked trashy 90s, like hyper violent punch anime, a la Fist of the North Star, Vampire Hunter D, Akira, God, what else? I've got a million of them in there. But any of the Princess Mononoke is another good one. That's
Yeah.
violence in there. All of those things, all of them are what fed into me writing this game. So if you can think of a really badass iconic scene, it's in this game somewhere. Kira's bike, Kane's bike, it's in here. The giant laser that blasted Tetsuo's arm off, it's in here.
Yeah.
Tetsuo turning into a giant baby monster, it's in here. It's all that stuff's in here. Like poking people and making their faces explode, a la anyone that Kenshiro kills at Fist of the North Star, it's in here. Just on and on and on. You like the Street Fighter, Capcom Street Fighter cartoon? You do any of that stuff too. Like that's what it's about. Elevator pitch wise, this is a post-apocalypse Gonzo kitchen sink setting with which the players are super powerful martial arts demigods who storm through it and do cool stuff. But unlike things like Powered by the Apocalypse, this is a consequentialist game. It's not the typical. It's got a very classic. I'm going to go with classic, not typical. It's got a classic sensibility in that your actions are consequential. You can forge empires or burn them. You can break down buildings. You can build things. Like you can play this like you play a normal RPG. D&D's Mythos is a good example. Vampire the Masquerade. Like it's that same thing. It's not just a fly by the seat of your pants thing. You can actually prep things. You can do hex crawls. You can do dungeon crawls, just like you'd expect to be able to do. But in addition to that, you can also punch so hard that a building cracks in half.
Right.
That's the elevator pitch.
That was one of the things that I thought was so interesting about it was that like it has an entire section on domain play and like rules for that. Like it was just not what I was expecting in that. Like the the interesting thing about the setting, the way that you handle it in this, is all the different locales and whatnot. And we talked about
lores.
this. Yeah. When I before I ran that one shot,
those wonderful charts.
Yeah, I jumped on a call with you because I realized I'd bit off more than I could chew.
Yeah, that was
5 hours.
You were so terrified when you started. You seemed so enthused at the end.
Yeah,
I was
because then I was like, oh, this totally makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, the cool thing is, like, you explained to me, like, the reason that every kind of region or location in the world of Ashes and Ghosts has like tons of tables that you can use. It's NPCs, like names, things like that, the types of groups, cults, organizations you're going to run into, what are the big problems that are going on in the region, and you can roll all that stuff up. And you made such a good point to me, was that in Exalted, the kind of philosophy is that you've got this amazing setting, like the setting in Exalted is really good. But if your players are like, well, we're going to teleport to Lookshy today, it's like, well, fuck, okay, now I have to go and read that entire section because like it's so detailed. It's very cool, but it's not something that you can just do on the table, like at the table. So for people who like to have a low prep game, this game actually has all the tools that you need to do that. You can do it on the, fly by the seat of your pants, or you can actually use those tools beforehand, just like you could with any sort of a D&D style game. But it's all there. So this is a very, like, once you kind of wrap your head around how the mechanics work, this is a very easy game to run in that sense, which is awesome.
Yeah, someone's grilling me about the whole consequentialist thing. Let me break down what I mean when I say consequentialist for a TTRPG. You write stuff down and take notes as a GM, and that you can bring it up later in play. Like, so if there's a hex and you put something in there, it will be there the next time the players visit the hex. You know, if you have a dungeon that they clear out, you can roll on some charts, and some more wandering monsters can show up with their gold and refill it. That's what I mean. Like, if you're a big fan of the Adventure Conquer King system, that has informed like every step of how I think about RPGs. Like, Axe is exactly what I want out of an RPG. It's like my favorite game ever, aside from mine, obviously.
Yeah,
but I want you to be able to...
Very different games for very different purposes.
Yes, but the philosophy is the same. You know, you have a solidity of prep. I feel like in Apocalypse World, the edict on the GM is to barf forth apocalyptica, which is to say you are constantly just making stuff up, and there's no solidity to it. There's no consequence. It's just every couple of seconds something else is going to be happening. It's like if ADHD was in charge of like making a setting, right? But and like here's the thing. If that's your style, you can still run Lone Wolf Fist. You could do that. But like I don't find that satisfying as a player or as a GM. I want to be able to write down and check my notes and like, oh, they killed this guy. Well, this dude's brother is going to seek revenge now. Like, I want that stuff. You can have really good, satisfying long-term campaigns, even whenever you have like super powerful glass cannon PCs that can punch headbutt a tank. Hobos headbutting tanks. Yes. Yeah. Peak. Absolute peak. Correct.
Yeah, and the great thing too is that the world, it's very open. It's got a very cool setting, but you can do so much with it on your own. Like, you can really make the world of Ashes and Ghosts your own. It doesn't even, I think there's not like even a map of what it looks like, because it's post apocalypse. There's so apocalypse is probably going to happen in your campaign. You know, it's thousands of years. The world is completely different than it is now, so it can be anything you want it to be. United States, people don't even remember what the United States is. You know, there's some new like city or territory that you can be in. You can make your own, and like you said, you can do just absurdly powerful things in this. And one of the things that I loved is that there's all these charts for all your different abilities, or rather, I'm not sure what the stats are called, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But
effect charts, yes,
yeah, exactly. So they explain things like,
look at those.
The strength chart, tells you, if you're rolling in this category, you can deadlift this much. And it's like the equivalent deadlift of like, you can deadlift an aircraft carrier at the high end, like things like that. Like, and it's like your power level really is like asymptotic, like you're.
Yes, it is asymptotic. Yeah. Well, because it starts more or less linearly, and then it goes off the crazy scale at the very end. But I mean, like, you're talking about a kid that grew up watching Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
If you can't do that kooky stuff, I would have kind of considered my game a failure.
Right.
So you can.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the point to it. It's awesome. And like all the character options that you have like basically these different like kind of kung fu clans, and they've all got their own style. There's like a super edgelordy one. There's the chick on the front, the radioactive scorpions. They're
Roll
like
nuke.
I was playing
bikers.
one of those.
Yeah, you were
I believe.
Yeah, you were riding around on a motorcycle.
That's a nuclear motorcycle.
Nuclear motorcycle.
You got the good one. You got the Prana bike. Yeah, you got Kaneda's bike.
Yeah, you got the Prana bike in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you've got artifacts, all of these different things. And the thing that I found so interesting about like the way the dice pools worked and everything like that was that your dice pools don't get absurdly big. Like it's like Exalted, this is a problem where you're rolling like 20, 30 dice sometimes, and that's fun. But after a certain point, I don't want to sit there and count up 20 successes off of dice. It takes too long.
Yeah.
And it becomes way too hard to
carry
manage
around or count up that many dice.
Right. And so it's you stay with these reasonable sized dice pools, and the ways in which like the kind of sets of matching numbers that you get determine how powerful things are like that you're doing. And the way the abilities worked too, the kung fu powers was awesome because you can't use every power every turn. You have to actually roll the relevant sets to activate certain powers.
That came out of playtesting, by the way. All the really cool stuff I can't take any credit for because it's either the idea of the guys who designed Legends of the Wulun, who gave me the blessing to use a lot of their design in this game, or it is 100% a consequence of playtesting and being like, oh, I wonder if this. So almost nothing that's great in this game is me, which is so frustrating. I'm too vain for that.
I don't think that's true though, because when you're designing one of these things, it's like, I won't say that every rule system has already been designed or whatever, but it's about choosing which things you're using. We do have a question here though, and it's a good question. The eternal question: what do you do in Lone Wolf Fists?
You fight a lot. This is a game which runs on the logic of the Street Fighter tournament, which is to say, like, you fight because you hate people, you fight because you love people, you fight to accomplish whatever goal you have to defend your society. And once you become the fightiest guy in the world and you can throw the kung fu equivalent of a nuclear weapon, you just crown yourself God King of however much territory you can control, and you just deal with elder chess with the other God Kings. So it kind of depends on what power level you're at, I guess.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of character stuff that you can do in this. There's politics.
Yep.
There's war. You can do I am the wandering kung fu sorcerer, like looking for new masters. And in a lot of cases, to advance, you have to find a new kung fu master, and you have to role play with them and convince them to
get an actual relationship.
Yeah. Teach the secrets to you. Like,
to get XP, you have to do heroic deeds. I like that. The karma chart's lots of fun. Like, that's one of those into session things that's always like a bonus round for the whole game. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. There's robots, there's tanks, there's kung fu, there's everything that you could want.
Yeah, nothing is really tied. And I mentioned this when we talked about the game previously. What I liked a lot, because I was skeptical. You're a big Exalted fan. Yeah. I'm not really an anime.
Nick is not a Chinese cartoon enjoyer.
Correct.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But a lot of what you do and how it feels to be in those kinds of worlds while not necessarily being attached to the aesthetics, to the trappings of it. So obviously with regard to the characters that you play and other people, quote unquote, that you're encountering, but also the fact that you do have mechs and robots. They don't have to, they can look like Gundams or Evas, or they may not. These can look like
I think mine
anything that you imagine.
Mine looked like John Deere construction equipment that had been made into it was awesome.
It was
very cool. That's amazing.
Someone is saying, so this is like Fist of the North Star. Yes.
Okay, so I want you to look up Fist of the North Star, and you will find an image that looks very much like this with Kenshiro just tearing through dudes that look like that. This is a straight up tribute to that piece of artwork done by the wonderful Pavel Kolomiets, by the way. Highly recommend him if you need a cover for an RPG book. He's very reasonable, and as you can see, he puts in really good work. So,
what's his name?
Pavel Kolomiets. He's been in business for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Kazakhstani artist. If you can find him on like ArtStation or something, it's awesome. He
definitely.
This out for me in just a couple of weeks, and yeah, I love that.
Nice.
Definitely send us his information after this.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, Pav, and the guy that is doing my current covers is Kazuki David, he's a Filipino artist. Another amazing dude. Very, very reasonable rates, and you've seen his work, dude. Like he makes amazing stuff.
Let me see if I can bring up.
Show him the cover.
The cover here. Let's see. I can upload
Japanese cartoons. Yes.
Oh
Japanese
man, this
cartoons.
is gonna be
very
big time
specifically.
boomer stuff.
Boomer it up. But like when it comes to Japanese cartoons,
they're all grayed out.
The sliver I want to kind of aim you to is about 1985 to about 1998. That chunk of hyper violent, like Ninja Scrolls are really good. Example of that stuff. That's the kind of stuff that inspired this game. Really bloody, really decisive battles. Really over the top powers. Actually, I wonder if you can do. I'm gonna think about it. Can you do all of the Kaimon Devils with the powers in this game? I know you can do Tessai, and you can do the guy that electrocutes everyone. I think so. I think you could do Ninja Scroll with this. Oh man. Well, okay. If you're not a huge anime fan, you might not love it, but Ninja Scroll is a fantastic anime, and it's worth your 90 minutes.
Yeah, dude. It's
I'm
awesome.
aware of Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
If you've never watched it, man, it's pretty sick. So.
Okay, that's the cover for the book. Why can't I?
Oh, it is reversed. That's eerie.
Yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, like I said,
another one, Devilman. Yep. Oh, Devilman is this new one coming out.
There's another anime. Yeah, I was like I said, I was initially skeptical, but after playing in the one shot that Matt run, I was completely sold. It was a ton of fun. I could get into it. I didn't need to. It didn't feel like I was entering an unfamiliar genre or a genre I didn't really like, because the implied kind of freedom of what's the world of Ghost and Ashes. Sort of anything can really be present at, I guess, the GM's discretion, at depending on really what the group discovers, because so much is changed. Nothing is really static. So much chaos and so much incredible power being unleashed, which is also why I really enjoyed that there were domain aspects here as well, because I could imagine a game like this being a Monster of the Week presentation.
You really could. Well, and I think a lot of games go that route, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the Apocalypse World route, and that's kind of the Exalted route too, which is weird. Like, because if you look at the rules, especially in second edition, when it comes to domain stuff, they get super abstract. Like, they don't track numbers at all. Basically, they just have.
Well, that's really the point of Apocalypse World.
And it's just like, why are you scared of counting? Like,
yeah. So here we got the
up to 40 followers. Hot dog in the morning. Way to go.
Everybody check the link in the description.
Yeah, everybody sign up. Get pre-reg.
As you can see, so this is actually, I think the cover is basically, this section is the bottom of the cover. So this guy's below the guy with the rocket launcher. The steel in the acid and steel is
so that's
about to shoot a plasma weapon or a, yeah, exactly.
100% laser cannon.
Yeah, so this is it's sick. This is something that I actually, the art in Lone Wolf Fists.
Almost everything in there is either Kazuki or Kimberly or Mike Clevin.
Right, it's all really good. Yeah, and it definitely puts over the feel of. I don't know if you guys can see this. Probably not. It's probably too small. It's a picture for ants on the screen. Yeah, but it's like, it is Fist of the North Star. Like all the like repeated blows and then someone exploding. You know, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So much
So
fun.
if you like that kind of violent anime, it's this is definitely this is the game to play.
Let's see.
So for Acid and Steel, what in particular is this source book? Like, what is it going over in terms of? Let me move over here so I can scroll down here. Let's see what we got going on. So you've got your core rulebook here, everything you need to play, and
Right.
then this is an expansion. What is the expansion offering?
Okay, so this is me kind of thumbing my nose at Exalted a little bit. Exalted has a really cool
Nice.
thing they do at the end of all of their lines. They do 2 books. They always do a really cool book with Hell, and their version of Hell is called Malpheus. It's like this weird. It's somewhere between Tartarus and like the Hell and Knight's Master by Tanith Lee. It's very surreal and cool and creepy. And they also do a book on the alchemicals, which are their robots, which has an amazing like steampunk city communist setting. And they're incredible. And then they immediately reboot the line after that. And they've done this twice in a row so far.
Yeah.
And I guess I was trying to see if they were going to do it again this time. Apparently their Infernals are completely lame this time. They used to be this unbelievably like
They're so
beyond
evil.
edgelord.
Yeah.
It was to the point of comedy, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
it was
like
also really
cartoonish.
cool
In a
But it was
cartoon
great.
world. Yeah.
But it was great, you know. And they used to be amazing balls out like designs, and I guess they abandoned all of that. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
So someone had to take up the slack, and that's me. So I'm putting the Demons and Robots as my first supplement.
Nice.
They've got their own robot world, and my Hell, which is Naraka, which is really reminiscent of that. You know, the heavy metal acid punk Hell.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what's going on there.
Yeah, it's like I always imagine Malpheus as being like a mix between like the world of like the art of Doom and Ninja Scroll like mixed together, because Ninja Scroll has like a lot of like the demons and whatnot. The monsters in that movie are very much how I imagined a lot of the demons in Exalted. It's like a guy with a beehive in his back and like the big rock monster.
So awful.
Yeah, it's like
There's a lot of body horror in Malpheus, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And oh god, okay, so the Infernals do this cool thing, which I also do. I stole so much, but you can't copyright transhumanism, so it's fine. It's totally fine. Copyright me forever. Anyway, but they had this thing where you weren't just like, I'm going to make a deal with the devil and get evil powers. Like that's kind of the lame way to do it. Their way was really fascinating because their devils were like these fallen titan god things that were the landscape, and they were these like not dead but like twisted and malformed demon gods. Called them they called them Malfians at one point. I think they're called the Yozis now.
The Yozis,
Me, I've got my own thing. I just called them the Ashera. Same exact concept. Like, so the different parts of hell are like, for example, like the frozen part of hell, like the cold hells in my hell, it's very Chinese style hell, are actually the coils of this Yarmoon-Gander-esque dragon called Fritra. So when you're walking along the outside of his coils, like that's like a whole world, and it stretches out to infinity. And if you crack in and get into his innards, it's like this frozen ice cavern, and he's a like demon god of greed, so there's like all these ancient treasures that are frozen in crystals in there. He's just swarming with all of these devouring monster demons, and that's just one of the 7 places you can go in hell. But in addition to that, if you decide to align yourself with him, you decide like, I want to play a damned hero and I like that guy, not only do you like get powers like his, you literally fuse your soul with his. So like you abandon the human element, you become this huge draconic ice throwing like, you know, dragon demon person. And like the power set isn't just I learned a new kung fu move, it's I've become more like the dragon and less like the man constantly.
Yes.
So very apex, you literally turn into him. Like you just you rip your heart out and throw it in a frozen lake, and then you get to play him on a rampage. Like, you know how you guys had like a Titan in yours? That's a player option in this, where you get to be a Titan and just rip through the world of ashes and ghosts. I don't expect that to happen often. I imagine that's like the big ultimate boss battle to a whole campaign, but you can do it. That's also the thing. So yeah, and all the different, there's 7 Ashera. All of them have that crazy transhuman pyramid thing, and all of them are also like landscapes in hell, which you can also turn into, because again, you're becoming these things. So if you want to play a character and your character sheet is a burning devil city of brass and acid, well, your dream just came true. Buy Acid and Steel.
Oh, that's
It's
so
fun
cool.
to write rules for.
I fucking love this. I miss this style of game so much, and it's been like heartbreaking watching what's happened to Exalted, which was this for me, and it's like this is this awesome new rebirth in a even more creative way that doesn't have any of the baggage of Exalted, and more importantly has a system that works. Because that was Exalted had a great setting, but the fucking rules sucked. They always
never
sucked.
got it right.
They never got it right. They got aspects of some things right here and there, but it's just always been a fucking mess. And it's just the current edition is just horrible. And to see something like this and to take it and have like an actual unique take on the setting. This is the other part of this, is that the World of Ashes and Ghosts is not I ripped off Exalted. No, it's like this completely different thing that like has totally different influences.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of it has the same influences, right? Like, for example, my version of Hell and their version of Hell, like, I've also read Knight's Master by Tanith Lee, and I loved it, right? But, you know, you can do something very different.
Right,
with
exactly. You can take the same ingredients and bake a different cake with it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm trying to use the same ingredients and make a better cake. In this case, I want to give you the whole cake, because a lot of the stuff that you can do, I mean, literally already written, designed, and workable in my game that you could just buy here in a couple of days, they promised that at the end of these lines and books and never delivered on them. Wait, okay, let me take that back. Holden Shearer eventually delivered on all of it. Holden Shearer is awesome designer, one of the guys who initially worked on EX3.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to give that little hamster money, the Exalted versus World of Darkness stuff that he makes is the most amazing middle finger to the bosses that fired that.
Really?
Nice.
Huh.
Yes.
Did not know that.
Go and give him money. It's an old school World of Darkness system. You guys would probably love it. And you can do. It's legitimately like one of the guys that worked on EX3, one of the guys that for free redid and fixed and made workable the EX2 system with the 2.5 errata. That guy, he's still kicking, and he likes my stuff. He actually gives me a call out in Exalted.
Nice.
Squad.
Dude,
so
that's
him
awesome.
A call out. Oh, dude, Holden's awesome.
Where's he selling his stuff?
I think he's on Patreon. Is where you got to find him.
Okay.
Yeah, Exalted versus What? Absolute Chad. I love that dude.
Yeah.
Him and John Merck also. I don't think John's writing the same stuff anymore, but he is a very cool dude and has also told me he likes the game. So two amazing characters, and maybe one day I'll be able to make enough money that I can get them to write for me.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
So how does Hell work? The resting place or the residing place of these primordial terrors
I think it's kind of both. It's because it like you said, like they are characters, but they are also a location.
But that's the thing. It's like are these things found on the world of Ghosts and Ashes, or is there another spiritual realm that you need to cross over into?
Yeah, you got to cross over. It is an actual afterlife. There are damned souls in Hell. And if you torture them to death in an appropriate way, you get hell currency out of them. And their karmic debt goes down a little bit. The average amount you get versus the average amount of sin that a person has, I actually have a method by which they acquire negative karma, aka sin, and a method by which they lose it, which is being tortured to death. And the exchange rate is such that the average stay in Hell is right around the 6,000 year mark. So you're there for a while. That's your residence. It's
not very pleasant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not pleasant. But yeah, so there are NPCs in Hell, and they're bad people. There's also demons in Hell, obviously. Many of them are spawned by these Ashera. Well, yes, obviously you want to have them crawl out and cause havoc. Like it would be the world. It's not the world of happy sunshine and rainbows, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
no,
go ahead.
It's the afterlife. It's the universe. There's portals to Hell all over the damn place.
Okay.
The world of Ashes and Ghosts. But you have to go there. Like it's not just like I went west long enough and now I'm in Hell. No. You got to find a Hell portal.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that Toro won't be playing in the continuation of this game. Yeah, is there a way, if there's a total party wipe or if a character dies, to continue your adventure in Hell?
In Hell, I haven't yet designed specific mechanics for it, but I mean, like, I mean, you can die and be a bad person and go to hell. So
Yeah.
I think I was
You
a
know,
great person, and I went out on my own terms by I think blowing up an oil refinery.
Yeah.
So I didn't really put a lot of. I'm not a huge setting guy. I know that sounds weird because I'm talking about a setting, but I hate putting things in really concrete terms because it means that GMs can't, you know. But I do like the idea of there being a cycle of reincarnation. It's more or less what you'd expect if you were like a Buddhist or a Janist or like, you know, all the Hindu religions. So it's kind of like that. And the way I want you to think about it is the Ashera, when they were out and doing horrible stuff, they were literal and conceptual titans. So when they got killed, they were too big to die. So their gravity kind of put them on the bottom of the karmic cycle, and their dead, warped, and destroyed bodies became hell. So that's like, it was just basically this hideous void people would go to and suffer for a while. And now it's a place filled with these giant like landscape monsters and people that are suffering for a while.
Right.
So that's what's going on with that. It's one of those things where the myth becomes the reality. I like that stuff. So
that is so awesome.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And that is, like you said, one of the great things about this game is that there's so much that is open to not only your interpretation, but for the GM to take things and run with, which I love. It's not the sort of thing where every stone is left unturned and we have pages and pages and pages about every single location and type of plant and all of that. It's useful, gameable information about the setting that you can use. And so this Lone Wolf Fist Acid and Steel is not, it is a setting book in that it includes a lot of the stuff about the Hells, but I'm imagining that this is more in line with what's in Lone Wolf Fist, which is going to be the types of characters that you can make and the things that they can do. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The kind of characters you can make, the things you can do, and there is going to be, like, you see the lores in the back of that where it's a bunch of charts basically that lets you generate stuff so that you don't have to just prep it beforehand if you don't want to, or if you do want to prep, you can use the charts as
inspiration. You can use them to prep, yeah.
And that's I stole that from the brilliant Yoon Suin. If you've never checked out Yoon Suin, Jesus Christ,
If you
buy
can,
it. It's
look up Doom,
brilliant.
the Dark World trailer.
Ooh, okay. Duly noted. That'll help. I will use that as grist to my next playlist when I'm writing Hell stuff. I love Doom. So but yeah, no, Yoon Suin is absolutely the pinnacle of setting writing in my estimation.
It's so good. Yeah,
it is. It gives you everything you need and nothing you don't need, and it's perfectly usable at a table.
Right. And so this is we have this is basically like a spread that you'll find. It's again probably going to be kind of hard to see if I can make this. I'm going to see if I can make me.
Well, I'm closer.
Here.
I've got the same book. I can.
Yeah. So this is a spread for like a location, a region. It's just it's a bunch of different tables. Yeah. You've got master and counter lists, different societies, the dooms that are there. So the different titans and like monsters and gods that are like asleep under the earth, NPC generators. Tract and fields lists. Tracts and fields are like basically like distance zones and things like that. Spice, strange plants is the table for this one. So you can roll on that, see a bunch of different shit, the different domains and strengths, the different struggles, which are like huge tables of like plot hooks and NPCs and all sorts of things.
Oh, and little three act plot structures too. So like if you want to kind of have consequences of what should the next thing that happens be programmed right in there.
Yeah,
and they're not scripts. Like you're not bound to them strictly. They're just a logical sequence of events that would happen in the circumstance.
Beautiful there's a bunch of these, so it's all super useful. And like you said, based very much on Yoon Suin, and Yoon Suin is something that I got very interested in because I heard you talk about it, and because of the curator who was running a famous BroSR game in Yoon Suin that collapsed under its own weight of too many players and I think too few GMs and a bunch of other problems.
Of all the GMs I would expect to be able to do like a huge multiplayer Yoon Suin campaign, I would think the BroSR guys would be exactly the right cut for that.
Well, that's the thing. That was there's a million different things going on in that game. I'm
sure it wasn't just that.
I am not privy to all the details, but I do know that there was tension between there was some people that were doing like the the total gonzo thing with it, and then others that wanted to take the setting seriously. And that's a setting that's
can do
very
both.
cool. You
Yeah.
can do both, but I think it's
I don't think you can do both at the same time.
you can't do both at the same. You definitely can't do that. I hate when that stuff gets mixed together.
I know.
It's like just keep them apart. But it's a really cool setting. It's a really cool setting, and it's
Very cool.
like that was such a good thing to take from Yoonsoon is that Yoonsoon is meant to be your own. You know.
Yes.
Very
Absolutely.
much so. It's not my Yoonsoon that I'm writing down and giving to you. It's I'm giving you the way to build it your way, and it's
Right, and it's
fucking awesome.
Yoonsoon is what the Exalted setting should have been. Like 100%. Like it'd be so easy for me nowadays with the amount of games I've ran and designed at this point to just take Exalted characters and just run Yoonsoon as like hex crawl, dungeon crawl, etc. And have 100 million times better game because of all of Exalted. And I like the Exalted system just fine. What I don't like is that it doesn't understand anything about how to run a role-playing game. Like it doesn't understand how to pace things with a hex crawl. It doesn't understand how to track resources in a meaningful way. It doesn't. Like, it abstracts things like gold. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you scared of counting gold
I
pieces?
know, I know, and that's
just
something that I've even
contrarian.
thought about with the World of Darkness because it's the same thing. It's abstract resources, and it really it's like that stuff matters. It really does, and it because it puts pressure on you. And like resource management, I don't want every game to have the resource management of something like Axe. Axe is like the kind of max.
Axe is pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy in that respect. And I don't want every game to be like that. But most games don't have any of it. There's this like vast ground in between like Vampire the Masquerade and Axe in terms of resource management. And Vampire needs to move more in the direction of Axe.
Right.
Yeah, just
for
a
it
couple of
to be
steps,
better.
guys. It doesn't have to be huge.
Right.
You know? Joel is correct. That's the forever tweet. I want that on a hat. Thank you, Tora.
Exactly. And what did he say here? He said, example, the Twilight created meth-powered hydras to attack a Death Lord. The Death Lord killed them and then sent an undead version back at us. So my character busted out his Gundam. Yeah.
You can do literally all of that in Lone Wolf Fist too. I don't have Death Lords per se, but I do have a council of Shinigami that work for the Death God. So
Nice. And Benjathan saying, ages not world, Doom the Dark Ages. Oh, okay,
Doom
okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
Dark Ages. That
Yeah,
sounds
so the-
beast, dude.
It does look fucking rad. It's the next
Yeah, I
the
saw
next
the
one in
trailer
Doom.
for it.
Yeah, it's back in time, so it's more metal.
I still got to catch up on like Elden Ring and all that stuff. I really need to buy Elden Ring.
I
looks
haven't
very
played
much
it.
up my alley.
I'm not really into the Souls like games.
You know, I never played
Yeah.
one, and I kind of want to stream myself getting just utterly creamed
Nice.
for hours. It just sounds like so much fun.
You definitely should.
Yeah. I played
I'll
Dark
tell you what,
Souls 1.
if
That
this
was enough.
if this thing goes over $5,000, I'll do a stream where I'll indulge for a celebration. I'll buy
All
Elden
right.
Ring, and you guys can just watch me utterly
Nice.
get nothing.
Stretch goal unlocked.
Yeah.
Stretch goal unlocked. 5K.
Oh man.
Hell
so,
yeah.
So does this book have new clans? Like what's just kind of the structure? Give us the rundown of what's inside.
Just a second. Someone's making fun of Watsy, and I actually read his joke earlier. I want to read it out loud because I think he bought a super chat, and it was a really funny joke.
Oh,
This
it's
is
probably
not gonna
Matthew
go to
Pickard. You're
waste.
right. I missed.
Yeah.
Let's see. Benjamin
Let me
had a
scroll down. I want to.
Yeah. Let me. Let me
It
find-
was what was it? I want to quote it as he typed it 'cause he got it perfectly. Yeah. Don't be stupid. Be a smarty. Come and join the Watsy pod.
Yeah.
Like, not just a game. You don't waste. That is not a wasted joke. That brought delight to my
Yeah.
heart, sir.
Matthew Pickard is one of the funniest YouTube subscribers you could possibly have.
Yeah.
His
You guys
jokes.
have got some real ones in the chat.
Yeah,
dude.
we really
Like,
do. Matthew occasionally almost gets us in trouble though, so we do. It's very funny, it's very spicy, but sometimes I'm like, don't get us kicked off.
Oh, don't demonetize me. Yeah.
We got here Mr. Max saying, am I the only one who hates power fantasy? Modern life is too easy. I want to struggle. It's my escapism.
Well,
I
you're
mean-
gonna love the next setting, the One Punch Man one, where your new setting is living in poverty, even though you technically have the power to punch anything to death in one single punch. So,
I wouldn't even
Lone
say
Wolf Fist, One Punch Man.
I wouldn't say I played one session of it, but my feeling is that this isn't really power fantasy. Obviously, you're doing
You're incredibly powerful.
You are incredibly powerful, but so is everything else,
Yeah.
and you're in a devastated.
Yeah, this is
wasteland.
about having enough power to make a difference.
Yep.
Not having so much power that you're like astride the world, though.
Right. And
Yeah, it's kind of similar, possibly a strange comparison, but similar to 40K
Yeah, kind
in
of.
that way, where many of the factions in 40K, all of them are exceptionally powerful and have absolutely devastating firepower
yeah.
to bear. But it's not really a power. 40K isn't a power fantasy.
Yeah.
At least that's not what I get out of
I mean,
the
you
world.
can die of dehydration
I
in
like the
in Lone
based
Wolf
uncle at the
Fist.
family reunion.
Oh, where is it?
Where-
There it is. I'm like the based uncle at the family reunion. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Oh man, Exalted 3 setting is so bad. Yeah, I can.
It sucks.
What were you guys
it's-
asking before we did the?
Oh, I was
Don't
gonna say,
Be
give us a
Smart?
rundown. What's the structure of the book? What can we anticipate finding?
Oh, actually, amazingly, I've got the whole thing written down.
Oh
Let me
yes,
see.
nice. All right, let
Well,
me see if
because
I can.
whenever you put together your Kickstarter pitch, you want it to be really thorough.
Right.
So I wrote the whole thing down and all the different parts of it. Let me see if
Nice.
I can find it here. Oh god.
Are you?
yeah.
You might be
Ooh,
able to
45
share. I'm not
followers.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe. I can report my own project. How the heck do I go in here? Oh, here we go. Acid and Steel. Hopefully, I don't delete the entire thing and have to rebuild it.
Oh,
I
God.
could. I could. I could rebuild it. I don't want to, but I could. Let's see here.
Yeah, if you can bring it up, that's cool. If not, you can just send it to me
Awards.
in a message, and I'll.
I think it's in story. Yeah, here we go. Oh god, that's nice. Okay, here we go. All right, so I've actually got it exactly as it appears in the book too. So,
Mhm.
I start out with History of Hell, which I don't do a lot of setting writing, but I wanted to give you some context because giant devil gods that share their soul with you and are living the living landscape of Chinese hell kind of. That's weird. You need to preface that a little bit. So
Right.
I give you a little bit there. The Ashera gives you all 7 of them and what's going on with them. I also looked up the term omni-malevolent, which oh god, I love saying that. I've only used it a couple times. It's a rare spice. I try to put in as many hapax legomenon as I can per book. So if you find a word and you've never encountered it before, highlight it. If you don't highlight it again, congratulations, you win 1 point. That's the hapax legomenon game. The Damned Heroes is next. There's 7 for the different 7 Ashera. Each one cores around one of the deadly sins and has its broad mythological implication. They have their own demonic brands, which make certain that everyone knows that your soul is owned by one of these Ashera and you share their power. So lots of cool stuff there. The Glorious Powers of the Fallen Ashera is next, which is, 140 diabolic techniques. 140. I actually wrote them all. They're all done. That part is 100% written. But yeah, there's 140 techniques in there. New stuff to expand in the core book. You don't have to sell your soul to get those, but it doesn't hurt. I've got Hell's Bestiary next, which is all the new demons, and I might revamp some of the old ones and give them a little spit polish. The Bestiary in the book is a little bit minimalist because it's just a bunch of stat blocks. It's fine, but I wouldn't mind sexing that up with a little bit of art, maybe a little bitty bit, like a paragraph per monster. It gives you a little bit more with them.
Right, and there's a shitload of enemies and monsters in the core book as well. So, like I said, this is a fully complete game. Lots and lots of stuff in here. So this is all going to be additional, just another feast.
Yep, another feast. That's the idea. There are 7 lores in the core book. There's going to wind up being 10 in this one. The Lores of Hell is next. It's just a chapter just like the end of the other book, very Yunsuni setting material. I'm also, right now what I'm working on is the new kinds of hex crawls you can do. So hex crawl is kind of the basic way you do things in the game, but I want to make sure I've got the rules for city crawling for whenever you go to Lankapura, which is the giant city god. I want to make sure I've got some tunnel, underground ice cavern delving rules. I want to make sure that you can get lost in the labyrinths of the infernal bureaucracy. So every lore has its own kind of crawl with their own kind of ways of mapping the weird infinities of hell. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Let's see. Oh, and that's the acid part of the book. And the steel part of the book starts with the history of Babel Kaminar, which is which by the way, that translates to Tower of Babel. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Which is the giant flying clockwork, like moon-sized robot world that slowly orbits the world of Ashes and Ghosts, right around the heavy side layer, and occasionally will extend tendrils down to bore out resources so it doesn't die.
That's so
three
cool.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. There's 3 great nations that are trapped inside of there. They're all various authoritarian kind of quasi-communist apocalypses. I've got the People's Fist, which is based on, very loosely based on Ingsoc from 1984. The Utopian Coalition of the Dragon States, which is my tribute to Cyberpunk, and the brilliant Mike Pondsmith and everything he's done for the hobby.
Yep.
I would not be making games without Mike Pondsmith. So
Yeah.
huge shout out to that dude.
He's amazing.
I
Love Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And dude, like, if you ever read Cyberpunk 2020, you will see a lot of his humor in my writing.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my God. Yes. No, because this is something that we talked about when we were playing Cyberpunk a year ago. We're like, this fucking book just like everything's covered in hot sauce. It's flavor
It is.
everywhere. It's a crunchy game. There's so much going on, but it's like everything's in your face. You know the tone, and that is one of the things I love about this book. Is this is not dry. This is so much. It's just fun to fucking read.
Yeah.
And it's about kicking ass, and you make that you explicit, and the writing style. This is a fun book to read. So I'm. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's where I learned it from.
That's definitely the Pondsmith thing.
Yeah, 100%. I'm deeply indebted to Mike Pondsmith. That is his style, and I 100% stole it. Great artist steal, folks. Let's see.
But it's definitely your voice. Like it doesn't sound like Cyberpunk.
We're not in Night City here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You can never. That's the brilliant thing about the whole, great artist steal. You can't. I couldn't be Mike Pondsmith. Nobody can except Mike Pondsmith.
Except Mike Pondsmith.
But I could steal everything I could from him, and it would still be my art. And
exactly.
I think that's kind of what that saying really means. Oh,
exactly, and that is what.
There we go.
That's exactly what art is, or at least the process of making art is, absorbing everything else that everyone else has ever done and incorporating, like integrating all of that in with your own stuff. Yeah.
Well, and you really have to put yourself in it. Like, if I hadn't really been raw when I was writing this, it wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I put a little tribute to him in the Dragon States, and then the other one is robot ruled hyper efficient steampunk empire of Mammon, which is my tribute to Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. So they use a lot of drugs to control their populace.
Nice.
Let's see. After that's Artificial Heroes. We haven't talked much about them. I think Hell gets a little more play. But the Artificial Heroes are 100% robots with bioengineered chakra that they use to power their own style of mystical martial arts. They're fun because they can learn more powerful martial arts and forge a human soul, or they can abandon their chance at humanity and become big giant robots or like living tanks, or again living cities, and integrate within Babil Kaminar and become a part of their world. So it's up to them. They can go whichever way. You can blend them if you want to. It's either way. Again, that's 100% the alchemicals from Exalted. That's kind of what they can do too. And I love that. I think that's so cool. So I stole it. I've got the 4 augmentation paradigms. There's 4 of them. There's only 3 great nations, but there's 4 paradigms all said and told. And each paradigm is a different way of making a nightmarish authoritarian state. So it just codified in like robot upgrades, and then vehicle transmutations, and then ultimately like giant city blocks you can install and turn into. So that's what those are about. It's kind of like Kung Fu, except it's turning into a giant robot monster. After that, I've got the martial disciplines of the Great Nations, which are the 3 Kung Fu styles that they have mastered, which are less powerful than the ones in the core book because they're not based on really ancient fighting styles. They're pioneered, and they live in a much smaller and much more fragile world. Because if you can like throw around a nuclear bomb in our world, that's nightmarish. But if you throw a nuclear bomb around inside of like
space station,
space station, that's the end of the world. Right?
Yeah.
They haven't.
I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. The lore stuff with them, the next thing is the Gremlin Bestiary, which is all my robot bad guys. And then after that, it's the lores. Their Hexcrawl stuff is going to be all about how if you start destroying stuff in their world, it's interconnected in surprising ways. So the disasters are way worse.
Yeah.
So if you, I want it to be like, I like the culture shock whenever the alchemicals come into the world of creation.
Yeah.
I want that in both directions.
Yeah.
In this game. So if you like are playing a normal Lone Wolfist game and you're like, you know what, let's put in the Clockwork Moon City, and they go to it, they start wrecking house. I want that to really be consequential. I want that to matter. So
Benjathan is asking, do you have an anarcho Posadist or a Genghis Khanist or even both style dystopia?
what's a Posadist?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Maybe potentially. I don't know what the meaning of anarcho Posadist is.
Yeah, but
I know I have a
there can
Genghis
be.
Khan style clan that one of the backers made in Lone Wolf Fist and the Apocrypha on the back. So what are those guys called?
Yeah.
They've got a cool name.
It's definitely, that could definitely fit in this game. Is for
100%.
sure.
Yeah, and if I haven't made it, then damn it, you can. Yeah, here
Yeah.
it is. The Bones of Winter is what they're called. Page 305. Yeah, a backer was really big into what was it? I can't remember now. It's like the Thunder Dream. It's the puppet show. It's the Kung Fu puppet show. I forget what it's called. Joel fixed alchemicals.
Yeah.
Technically, Ashera fixed alchemicals, and I stole from him, but he's cool with it. Trust me. No, and both him and John Merck both gave me music recommendations for writing these things, so I think they're pretty much on board.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you're all on the
They're
same
cool
wavelength.
dudes, man. Yeah. Like again, one of these days, if this turns from hobby I'm obsessed with into like even like a secondary career,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay them so hard.
Yeah.
You guys can enjoy some really A+ content then.
Oh man.
Let's see. What the heck's a narco Posadist? I gotta look it up. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I'm looking it up. We're gonna know.
How do you role play being a city made of brass and fire?
It isn't obvious.
Yeah. You don't
Yeah,
know how to do
that's so obvious. I'm not even gonna dignify it with the response.
Yeah.
Let's move on. No. Okay, so that's a good question. Okay, so you know how you can have like late game in like D&D, you can have a domain, and like you don't play the domain directly, but it's like kind of a part of your character sheet after
Right.
that point. You can think about it like, oh, I can make this decision as my character, and the knock-on effect is going to be that something's going to happen in my domain. It's kind of that. Your character sheet is the domain at that point. Now, you can still create like a body for yourself called a tulpa, which looks like an idealized fiery version of you that you could you still do normal adventures with. But yeah, you move your consciousness around to different areas you want to focus on.
Right.
Again, this isn't different really than just like saying we go to this place, we go to that place. But because you only have one point of view, one you can only be in one place at a time, and everything else is kind of like, do you really know what your hands are doing when you're not thinking about them? No, your body's taking care of that. When the world is your body, like all the stuff that the GM would use to summon bad guys if someone started Goku blasting a part of you, that just happens automatically, and you're aware of it like in kind of a subconscious way, kind of like you would feel pain if like suddenly you had an infection in your hand, and you can shift your consciousness around to different places. You also, instead of acting just with effort dice, which is what you do in the core game, you roll your effort, you find sets and you use that as your pool of actions. You have the same thing. You have cataclysm dice though, so you can make localized earthquakes and acid storms happen to kill people instead, and you still have access to all your magic too. So that's how that works. And also, if you want an exact explanation of how all of that stuff works, I did write it down a long time ago. I actually wrote that stuff at the beginning of this year, and I put it in a spoiler, in the Acid and Steel spoiler, which is on Drive-Thru RPG. It's $3. Give me $3. You'll learn the answer to that wonderful question.
Yeah.
I might make that available for free, but that's how it works.
Oh man, that's a great answer. We got an answer on what Posadism is. It's the belief that communist revolution can only be achieved with nuclear holocaust, i.e. the communist baptism in fire and radiation. Anarcho-Posadist is Fallout. That's pretty rad.
That's super rad.
Well, they lost in Fallout too.
Yeah. Well, you could definitely do. I think you could definitely do this, or that could be the inciting incident in a campaign, or an expansion to the setting on the part of the GM.
Yeah.
The great thing about the world of Ashes and Ghosts
I
is
came
that
in late, but this sounds a lot like optional rules for ancient exalted alchemicals.
Yes.
Also Infernal Exalted.
yes,
Correct. That is exactly what it is.
This
Except it's
is
for a
what
game
you
that
should
works.
play instead of Exalted, and this is very much alchemicals and infernals done right. And like he said at the beginning of the stream, instead of waiting until the end of the cycle of the addition of the game, you're getting alchemicals and infernals first. You're getting that right up front. This is the first supplement for Lone Wolf Fists, which is an excellent game that you can get on Drive-Thru RPG, and you should definitely get it. I have it, and I fucking love it. I want to run it more. It's just time.
Yeah, and if you're brand new to this and you want to get the supplement and the game, there's a tier for that. You can get both hardbacks and the PDFs. It'd be the same thing as like buying them off of Drive-Thru RPG. They're $40 each, so it's $80 for that tier. That's an awesome tier to gift somebody to for Christmas, because they'll get the Lone Wolf Fists PDF and right away, and then they'll get this in the mail right around that same time. And then here in a couple of months, whenever the hardback is completed, and they'll also get Acid and Steel. So plenty of time to familiarize themselves with the core game.
And so this is not a small supplement, from what it sounds like.
No, it's about 250 pages. This thing's a beast.
Damn.
I wanted it to be 100% written before I started. It is currently about, I want to say 80 to 85% written. I still got to finish up the robot guys. Hell stuff's done, and it looks really sexy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Alchemicals coming in last is garbage because they rule, right?
Right.
You know, I want to do them now. I have no patience.
Yeah.
Give me my fucking robots.
Oh man, this is fucking awesome. I want to run this again.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, be my guest, dude. You guys are my game's like greatest champions. I always see it like right there in the back, like that beautiful yellow spine.
Yeah.
Everyone bitched at me about the yellow. Well, look who's laughing now.
Yeah,
everyone knows what it looks
it's also,
like.
You know,
it's a great color
there's
dynamic.
more shit accumulating on the table again. But previously we had all the RPG books out here, and then I cleaned them all off, and now it's slowly, there's 2 of them here. It's slowly accumulating, but this one was always easy to find. Whereas I have to sit there and look through a bunch of shit to find other games. I can just look on screen and go, oh, it's over my left shoulder. Boom. Lone Wolf Fists. Exactly.
See, playing that 5D chess, boyo.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a fucking great game. And I highly recommend it to anyone who is a fan of Exalted, or at least the vision of what Exalted could be. Check this out. It's a unique and different setting, way better rules, and it is absolutely dripping with flavor, and a much more runnable game from the perspective of having GM tools in it. So this is fucking awesome, and I can't wait to back this.
Yeah.
I also can't wait for you to do that. Give me your money.
Correct attitude. Yeah.
Alchemicals didn't make it into our 2E game because it was too late, sadly.
See, and that is, you were robbed, dude. Alchemicals are awesome. Yeah,
Let's see. Thank God we convinced Sly Blue Demon not to run Exalted. Yeah. Seriously.
You're doing God's work there.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I spent so much money on EX3. I was so disappointed.
I know.
Honestly, the disappointment of that, though, is what led to Lone Wolf Fist. So I guess it wasn't, I guess it wasn't all bad.
I could not believe the fucking art in that book. There's some pieces in the Exalted.
A couple are good.
A couple are really good in the Exalted 3 core book, but there was some shit that, like, it was like, you guys raised $300,000 or whatever it was. Where the fuck did the money go? Like, this art sucks. And the art in the old Exalted books was so good.
Jeez, their artists were amazing.
They were amazing, and
like there was like the occasional stinker, but I gotta tell you, dude, like I have taken so much inspiration from the layout and the art in Exalted first edition. Like, look at that, dude. Like, and I have splats in my game too. By the way, if it's in Exalted, I definitely stole it. Where's my splat? Nice. So there's my equivalent to that. My little princess.
Yeah. He's got a Makwahital and everything.
Oh yeah. By the way, it's another great game is Makwahital. You ever never played that? You get XP from sacrificing people.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Look at
Hearts
that sword.
for gold, slaves for gold. Yeah, yeah, and you've got you've got artifact weapons. You know, you've got your giant diclaves. Though I think they're not called diclaves.
They're just swords.
Yeah, they're just swords.
Yeah, here's a piece that Kazuki did for me. The spiteful prince. Look at that beast.
Yeah,
like, you want to be that guy.
Yeah, there's all. Tons of artifact weapons, all sorts of cool shit you can do with them.
No, I want to run my game. Jesus.
And yeah, it's like I wish that there was a bit more art in Lone Wolf Fists, but here's the thing. Art, we know now, obviously, how expensive art is. all of the art that's in Lone Wolf Fists is excellent. There's no bad art. And a lot of people will put art into their games to fill, pages.
Fill
and
pages.
The art sucks.
The art sucks, or it makes no sense to why it's there.
This is all perfectly in line with the setting. It's very good. It's great. I can't say enough about good stuff about this game. I really like it.
I have been meaning to do like a 1.5 version of these rules, but like I've got a grown up job. Like I've got to do this stuff in my free time.
Yeah.
So one of the tiers, if we make a ridiculous pile, it's like a $10,000 tier, is the 1.5 update for this with more art.
Yeah.
So those people who buy a rule book from that, if we get that high, are gonna get the version of this with updated art, more art, better layout, because I've now actually done a bunch of layout training, so that's good. I have better stuff too, and slightly updated rules. So they're gonna be effectively the same. There's just a couple of little quality of life things, a couple of vague wordings, a few things where it's not clear what the timing is. Yeah, little things.
Space Roadie with
can't play art here.
Can't play art, exactly.
Very true.
100%.
Spiteful Prince looks like Hastur. Very cool. I don't know who that is.
He does?
I don't know who it is, so I can't comment.
Not only can it was designed to do the exact thing, run a Vampire Hunter D campaign.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, very much World of Ashes and Ghosts.
100%.
Yeah, there's so much cool shit in this game.
Oh god, everyone's talking to me now. Why do they always talk to me when I'm streaming?
Let's see here. I really should do a side-by-side read through of Exalted and Lone Wolf Fist core books. See which rules get my blood pumping.
Take the Lone Wolf Exalted challenge, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing where I think that there's the risk of not the risk of people bouncing off, but people who maybe get the quick start or something like that, like Rolling Stag was saying earlier. This is just a very different set of mechanics than people are going to be used to. They're not hard. It really is.
It's not hard. It's not complicated.
You have one dice pool. Making a character is so fucking easy. And as you level up, you know exactly how you level up, and it's so easy. You have one dice pool. You roll your dice, and you get matching numbers together into little sets.
Yep.
And that if I have 3 6s, that means I have a 36. And each time that you're going up by 10s, that's an additional kind of tier of power that you're exercising. Right. This is a game like people. I remember when Colville was first talking about his game that was going to be you just roll damage, and then it turns out you don't just roll damage because they redesigned it. But this is a game where you just start rolling damage, and if you don't have the proper defense, you're going to take a lot of damage.
Right,
and it's fucking cool. There's no to hit roll. Like you're just going for it.
Yeah, I really didn't, because in Legends of the Wulin, which this is largely based off of, you would roll every time you attacked, and they would roll every time they got attacked, and they would be you would constantly be generating sets, and it was nightmarishly long to play. Every round would take like an hour of real time play. It was fine for it was a fun game, but it was very heavy, and so I just did one roll around, and that fixed like 99% of the problems with the game.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I really like how all the techniques work with that, because it's like you need maybe a set of 6s to activate a certain power, and like then it can add additional tiers to your and I'm getting the terminology wrong here, but additional tiers to your rolls, so you can get like really powerful results. It was
very cool, very interesting that I know XYZ moves or styles, fighting styles, but the dice do determine the situation, and the circumstance do determine I need a certain number of 5s, or I need 5s or 7s or 2s and 7s in order to make this thing work. Yeah. It was very cool.
And it's a way of keeping you get the dice pool does not get to absurd numbers like we've said. It gives you a lot of choice, and it makes you, sometimes it limits your choices a lot, which is really fucking cool. But the other thing I really liked about this was, even though there are a shitload of powers in this book, your character is never going to have 25 techniques that you have to remember what the fuck they do.
Right.
Well, you might eventually, because the way you get more powerful is
But
solely
not when
by
you
learning new
create
techniques.
a character.
Right. Yeah, you
It's
start
not,
with
it's
like
not
a
Exalted
handful.
3rd edition where you start with 15 fucking charms. You know,
Fuck that. Yeah,
that's not how it works.
I literally never was able to get someone through character gen. I couldn't get through character gen in EX3, and I've
sucked.
been running 2 for almost, like, what was it, almost 10 years?
Yeah.
The whole life of 2, I'd ran it, and it fell apart every time I tried
Yeah.
to get a game together. Nope,
That's the
none of
thing.
that. You just-
It was worse in 3rd edition though, because 2nd edition I think you started with 10 charms. I think you started with 15 in Exalted 3. It was
Yep.
like
You start with 15, and then you also, like, okay, so they, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds of Exalted, but they
Sure.
curved really nicely around your essence stat. That was your
Yeah.
prime power stat, right? This is the same as blood potency or generation or whatever in Vampire. You know, all White Wolf games do that. And you started with like 2, right? And
Yeah.
most of the charms had a minimum essence of 3 or higher if they were very powerful. So you were really limited in what you could get.
Yeah.
But in 3rd edition, they're like, oh, but your essence counts as 5 for one of your skills.
yeah.
So now you have this whole other dimension that you're having to
Right.
think about, like, well, which one of my 5 skills is going to be at the 5, and which one, and you have to literally have to look at every single charm in the game when you start the game to figure out what kind of character you want to play.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah,
Why would
it
they do
sucks.
that?
And it's hundreds of pages of charms.
It is
It fucking
hundreds.
sucks. That's
so
not
many
the
of them
case
are
here.
waste of ink.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, everything here is clearly written. It is I would say it's I won't say it's short. It's exactly as long as it needs to be, but it's like each technique is very simple. Once you know how the game kind of operates, you can look at it, immediately know what it does and how to and how to use it.
Old school D&D is what inspired that, by the way. Old school D&D, you'll note like the way they take their powers, spells especially, and they very clearly just give you an idea of what they do, and they, you know, they've got the components right there. Like if you crack open your AD&D books, you're gonna look and it's gonna be very familiar to you.
Yeah.
Honestly, AD&D was a huge inspiration for me. A lot
Nice.
of people, God, who was it today on Twitter that was like, oh, the original 3 books, they aren't very complete. And it's like, I think they were actually talking about the really old, like what was it?
The 3
Chainmail,
LBs.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah, like chainmail stuff. And I was just like, dude, did you read them?
Yeah.
Did you actually
Definitely
read them?
not.
God, dude.
There's
it's
the big
embarrassing.
argument surrounding OD&D is that it's like people have always said it's an incomplete game, but it's like
Correct.
if you use chainmail with it, if you use these other things that it tells you basically you should use with it, then it is this much more. But it's not. This is the thing that we talk about, is that as interesting as things are, like the AD&D DMG, it's poorly written. There's interesting stuff in it, but the fact that people 50 years later are still trying to
Right.
decipher it means that it was not clearly written.
Right.
This is not simply a problem of literacy on the part of the reader. It was written.
Yeah.
It was inscrutable to very
Very
intelligent
smart people in
at
the
time
mid-70s. Yeah.
who were in the culture at the time.
Right.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a totally different thing. Yeah, but
Clearly, you
it's,
need to show up on this show more often.
Yeah.
I'm not just here to mug. I also love role-playing games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very clearly.
Clearly.
Very clearly you love role playing. You really know what you're doing, not only with the actual mechanical game design stuff, but thematically. And this is the thing, is like there's so many games out there that don't have any fucking flavor at all. And this game has so much, which is such just a tremendous
That in and of
point
itself
in
is
its favor.
it's such a unique thing. We've
Yeah.
said this many times before, and this is, we're increasing every single day. We could become more right. The only thing that matters, at least the thing that matters the most, is that you have a vision and that
Yes.
you have an artistic objective that you're trying to create. Now, whether you successfully or partially successfully make good for yourself on that vision is almost beside the point. Everything else is completely vapid, completely bland, or a soulless recapitulation on something that has come before. And that's how by having a vision, you mentioned before, putting your raw essence into it. Of course, we all have inspirations. There's inspirations from Exalted, clearly through this, but like have a fucking vision.
Yeah.
And just do it. Step on the gas and do it.
And this game has a fucking vision. It's awesome. We just got another super chat here.
Ooh.
Please check out
the new gameplay trailer from Path of Exile 2 as well. The civilization they show, and that is Aztec, but taken to an extremely dark fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. This is what Diablo 4 is supposed to be, right?
It's what everything after Diablo 2 should have been and was. It was called Path of Exile 1.
I will check that out. A couple of my buddies were talking about that today.
The game looks insanely complicated in a good way.
Yeah. Oh my god, I know. I saw the skill tree. That's like this fractal fucking Mandela where it was like that one in the tiny little bell. Yeah, they're like just follow builds.
Yeah, just follow builds. Unless you are a number cell.
Ooh, I like this. Any version of TSR D&D is that sexy AF classic car. It's fun to play, but also pain in the ass at the same time. Right. I will grant that. As most millennials, I cannot drive stick, but I will say this, and my dad would agree with me here. I can work on a classic car, and you can work on like the high Gygaxi and stuff. It's very user friendly in terms of what you can do as a GM. A lot of the newer stuff, even 5th Ed, which is pretty GM friendly, is also very GM unfriendly in some ways. Like there's a lot of little. And Exalted 2nd Ed had this problem too, where you'll be playing it and you'll just kind of encounter a game design flaw that's like really ruins the experience. And for Exalted, it was the hidden 2-7 filter where you would basically just die because you had so few hit points compared to the damage output of the game.
Right.
Unless you had a real specific build. And then in 5th edition, it's just your power level creeps to this point where you're unchallengeable after like level 5. It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that in my game. All the playtesting I've done has never revealed any cracks like that. So you are kind of glass cannony. I will warn you, it's easy to bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, you can definitely fucking die. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, you can punch holes in tanks and destroy buildings and stuff, but there are there are things out there that can really kill you very, very easily. And and this is again how it's tactical in play, because when you separate out your sets, you have to think about how you're going to defend against attacks. Because if you don't use sets of dice to defend, you're just going to get wrecked. Someone might do
100%.
60 damage to you, it's like it's a tough game. So this is the thing, like it is a high-powered, high-stakes game where people die. And hopefully it's you making people die. But this is
well, and the feedback I've consistently gotten is it either goes very well for you or extremely poorly, and that kind of feels about right too. Because I mean, like that's anime. Like if the combat doesn't go well, you're gonna lose some limbs.
Yeah, exactly. This person says, I had the opposite experience with 5e, that the power growth felt too subdued compared to 3.5 in Pathfinder.
It depends on how you play 3.5/Pathfinder. Because back when I first started running seriously, it was 3.0 and 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the first times I ran it, when we were just kind of like playing around on the system, it ran with a really good smooth power curve all the way up to about level 10, where it got a little tanky, right? Which I think that's pretty good. Getting 10 levels or like a year's worth of a campaign out of a game and it still works pretty good, I'll call that more or less a success, right?
Yeah.
But like, I also, like later on, like 4 or 5 years down the road, once we started optimizing builds, you could have like level 1 characters that were already so broken in so many ways.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on how you approach it. It's a very build-based system. So you can really, and System Mastery was designed into the game.
Right. Yeah.
So
playing as a glass cannon is fun as hell.
That's right.
Well, it tilts you towards offense. My game has an offensive bias in it because the Legends of the Wilderness had a defensive bias, and it would lead to a lot of stalemates, a lot of rolling. You would literally roll like 100 dice in like a round or two, and nothing would change. Like it was so static, and it was fun because there was a lot of like it's fun to roll dice, and it's fun to make decisions. But once everybody was playing in an optimized way, it would tend to balance out. But in my game, it tends to change. There's a bias towards offense. So every round, if you're not on your game, you're likely to lose a little bit. Or if you're way off your game, you can really get wrecked.
And you start taking imbalances and things like that. It's really cool.
Well, and imbalances stick around too. Like Exalted has this thing where you have a failure spiral as you get injured and you lose. You have negatives.
Right, your dice pool starts getting reduced significantly.
What Vampire does that too. There's a failure spiral, which makes sense. But in Legends of the Wool, and I loved this. It's a Wuxia style game. So when you get injured, it's like a character trait that you have to like deal with and compensate for and role play around. It's really neat. It sticks around like a curse. So I thought that was cool, and I did a version of that for my game. So yeah, your wounds don't just hurt this combat; they have an ongoing effect, until they're healed, which can take a long time. You get a broken bone in the post-apocalypse. That shit sucks.
Yeah, that's the thing is like people like I'm trying to think of how to articulate this, but I think there's an assumption that in like a high-powered, high-octane anime-style game that it's going to be. It's not that it's consequence-free.
Well, but that's kind of the assumption, right? That it's going to be like a cakewalk.
Yeah, or that it's going to have that cartoon logic. That like, oh well, the fight's over. I didn't even need to eat a senzu bean. It's just like the next day I'm fine, and I go back and I fight at my max power again. It's like it's not like that in this game. This game, like, it is very there's
until the
consequences
senzu
built
bean
into
got
everything.
Until the senzu bean got there, people would lose arms and have to make desperate attacks that would result in nothing sometimes. If you want to see what a really solid, like, dangerous battle in Lone Wolf Fist would look like, look at the very first clash with Vegeta and Nappa on Earth before Goku shows up. Like, that's like peak Lone Wolf Fist. Everybody's got superpowers, but they're limited and they're dangerous, and sometimes the dice are just kind of against you. Yeah, you're losing arms, and it's desperate, glorious. Oh, I love that fight so much.
Let's see here. Lone Wolf 5th LWF combat moves the action forward. Nice. I appreciate that. Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hit locations are the best death spiral. No BS abstractions, just tangible consequences.
That is correct. And that's why all of the wounds in my game are based on a hit location. Torso, arm, leg.
Yeah, and you're not, it's not like Mithras where you're like rolling for the hit location or things like that, but you're going to gain an imbalance that's going to affect your right arm or things like that.
Yeah, and your kung fu techniques are reliant on having an intact body.
An intact arm, or you need a weapon in order to do this. It's very cool.
There's a lot of decisions to be made, and making decisions with a limited pool of dangerous resources is the funnest thing about combat. So that's what my game is designed to do. It does it pretty damn good. I'm really proud of it.
Saves are one of the worst designs of 5e. 4 of them will be the same at level 20 as level 1. Oh wow.
I'm not a big save fan.
I like saves are all attribute based.
No, I like it when it was save versus poison or save versus stabs and all. I thought that was way cooler. It
was way better.
It had a character.
I liked Zeland's injury. Serious damage lasts until you sit your ass down and take the time to alleviate the pain. And some injuries aren't cured. You just adapt to it. Well, here's the other thing, though, is that you can take not just physical imbalances, but you can take like imbalances, I think, to your spirit as well.
Yeah, spiritual and emotional imbalances. Too. Also, your hit points, such as they are, recover very quickly because you're superhuman.
Yeah.
But imbalances stick around much longer because they have more tangible wounds. So, yeah, I also like that. I like the Z-Lands injury. Like, I basically did that.
All right, what's this? I'll use my cock kung fu to poke out an eye. Clearly, I'm talking about imitating a rooster. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Save versus death or die.
Oh God, save versus death is my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, just whenever you get to say stuff like that as a GM, like the players immediately know how seriously things have gotten.
Right.
I love old school D&D for that reason. It's like, okay, this thing tries to reach out and touch you, and you're going to lose an actual level of your character if it does that.
Yeah.
You just die.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like that's something
my
that
first character died.
Good. I mean, but like, I love level trained monsters. That sounds like a mean thing to do as a GM, but I like to telegraph them to the players because then it's not the character that's scared, it's the player that's scared.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's so cool. I'm not mean enough to put it in my game, but I do love that. So just so you're aware.
Dark Sim saying, "I love the Prana catastrophe imbalance."
Yeah, that's the Fist of the North Star one where you poke them and they get all like, and then their head explodes.
That's awesome. So is there anything else in Acid and Steel that we haven't covered that you really wanted to talk about?
Oh man, no, I think I got the big ones out. I mean, like I didn't even give you all the different Ashera that are in it.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, because I've got 7 of them and they're all awesome. I've actually got
we've got about 30 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we use this time to get everything out that you wanted to say about the new book, which I am 100% backing.
Just real quick before we get back to the world, back to hell. Is there an expected fulfillment date that you're shooting for?
Fulfillment date? You mean like?
When can people expect?
PDFs?
Let me see. I'd like to get the. It takes a little while to get the hardbacks done. It depends on how much we succeed. That's only a very small $2,000 ask. That's going to be to cover editing and art, with very little left over for me. The reason is because I don't do this to make money. I do this to make fucking fist games.
Yeah.
So I imagine we'll kick that out pretty quickly. If we minimally succeed and I just have to worry about doing the POD, like hardback proofs, that took about a month-ish, maybe a little more if I find a bunch of errors in it. I'm doing more sophisticated layout, so it might take a little longer. The writing is almost totally done. I imagine I will have the writing done probably by late February, and I would like to have the PDF out right after that. I'm actually writing in the layout program that I use. So I've really streamlined my process there. A little bit of that depends on Kazuki. I'm getting a lot of art from him. He's like my major artist on this, and I've got the first few tiers of this. If we succeed beyond the 2,000, is all buying more art from him.
Right.
So it sort of depends on you guys. If you want to pay me more, it'll take a little longer.
But you'll get a prettier book.
Right.
It'll be a much prettier book. I anticipate that I'm going to have the PDF out earliest, probably March. More realistically, if we actually succeed in a big way, 5, 6, maybe 10K, that'd be amazing. If we get all the way up to there, probably closer to 6 months in, maybe July. And then a month or two after that, we'll do the hardback. That seems like a long time, but that's both that's editing, the finalizing the writing, layout, art, all of that.
It's really not. Like the thing is, it's like for most Kickstarters, I basically think like it's going to be a year before I get a book,
Right.
So anything before that is awesome. Especially if you can get a PDF out before.
Well, and then the living document, the updates and all that are going to be available. Like I've already got, like I said, all the Ashera stuff is written. I'm just writing the lores right now for them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start finishing up Bubble, Kaminar, and all the robot stuff. It took me a while. The writing for them was weird. The concept work was really early this year. Then I had like a 5 or 6 month dead zone where I basically didn't write anything.
Yeah.
And then I had like 2 Ashera written, and then I did all the other 5 in like a month and a half.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, that's the way it goes. It's when you like when that creative fire strikes, you go with it, and then sometimes it wanes a little bit. We had that literally yesterday when we were working on Cults of Zahak. We had inspiration strike for a YouTube video, and we're like, "Stop working on the book. We have to make this video right now."
Right.
It's like, and you have to do that. But give me, my artist buddy, money to take longer for me for more art. I'll take that deal. Exactly.
Yeah. I hope. And the thing is, like, again, he's in the Philippines, so the money goes a lot further for him. He's actually a pretty cheap artist for as good as he is. And I love giving him money because every single time, and he doesn't have to do this, but he tells me what he's going to do with it. It's always like this life-changing thing. So you're doing a good deed here. Kazuki's a fantastic artist. And by the way, he's not exclusive to me. He will work for anybody. He's cheap. And if you've seen the quality of stuff he does, dude, you should hire him. He's fast too. I just commissioned him the day before yesterday, and I've already got returns coming back.
All the information on all the artists you work with, because we want more artists.
Yeah.
I have 4 really fantastic artists remaining. I had 5. Unfortunately, one of them is no longer with us. It happens. But the 4 that are remaining are amazing. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because we're always looking for more artists. Basic Experts doing some stuff for us. Yeah, he did our cover art. It's fucking awesome. We got Dane Seipel doing Golem art now, which is fucking rad as hell. So we're always looking for more, though. It's
the cover on the Cult of Zahar looks really, really cool too.
It's really cool. It is.
I cannot wait to shut up
happy.
and listen to you guys pitch this thing to me. I'm very excited.
Well, let's see. We can do that after you have finished pitching your stuff. So what?
Sell my crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me at least tell you about the 7 different Ashera. That's the only thing I haven't really touched on yet. Okay. So each of these is based on a different mythological creature. So I didn't like the exalted ones are all out of the mind of like Genemoran, I think. So they're all totally unique. I'm not that creative. So I just went into mythology and I kind of plucked out the stuff I really loved. And I did my version of it. So the 7 I've got, and I'm going to give you the exalted inspiration for these 2. I wanted to, as much as possible, if you really are the kind of person that loves the exalted setting, and you're like, you know what, I still just want to do exalted, but I like the Lone Wolf Fist setting, I want to make that transition as easy for you as possible.
Nice.
So if you want to do exalted with my game, you have my blessing. And here's how you do that.
Okay, cool. Anyway, that's
that's
amazing because I have considered doing that.
Yep. You trust me, you are not alone. I wrote this game to do that, man.
Yeah,
because I love Exalted. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the 7 Ashera as they are. I've got Ravana, the Tyrant of Tyrants, first and final sovereign. He's the big multi-armed, like, and I'm sure you've seen images of like those huge blue multi-armed Hindu deities. He's one of those guys. He's one of the demons. He's in the I can't remember the name.
Sorry,
I cannot remember. I can't remember which one he's in, but he gets shot by an arrow that traverses the entire world and it kills him, which is completely beast. He's also like the Devil City, so he's also like the City of Brass. This is my equivalent to Malthus. So he shouts really loud and people obey his commands. And he's got power over acid. And if you have his powers, you turn into this giant, like radioactive basalt and brass super monster. That can like scream things like Yahweh and carve your commandments into stone with your voice. So that's his thing.
Yeah.
He literally has a power called Sun-Stilling Battle Miracle, which is based on one of the more famous miracles in the Bible, where the sun stops at high noon just so they can slaughter people more. You can do that with this dude's power.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I went hard on Ravana, dude. Yama, the Sire of All Death. He is based on. He's kind of my answer to the Abyssals and Exalted, except instead of being emo, he's properly goth. He's
good.
Appropriate genre distinction.
Yeah.
You got to be clear about this stuff because the Abyssals are emo, but Vampire is goth.
Yeah.
Well, it's goth punk, but it's definitely goth. And it's different. You know, one of those is adult and cool and rad and self-destructive and properly nihilistic, and one of them is, you know, it's Basket Case and like you know, Green Day and
cringe
all that.
And lame.
Hot Topic.
It's they put it's bad. Anyway, so Yama is that he's kind of equal parts like Death from the Castlevania games and like the bureaucracies of Franz Kafka. He literally has like a bunch of undead powers, but he also has a bunch of law powers. So he can curse you with laws, because curses are laws that enforce themselves when you think about it. So that's what, his servants are called the Shinigami, and he's got all kinds of weird hell bureaucracy powers and death magic. Britro, we went about Britro, the Ice Dragon. He's very, very primal. He's a big, greedy, hungry, like ice dragon. You are Sub-Zero meets the Hulk with that guy. Shuten Doji that's from Japanese myth. Giant Oni god that was decapitated and his head flies around like this blood raining moon, and if you eat it with the blood you turn into a foaming mouth berserker, and his body Shiedayama is this massive mountain of like weird fleshy tumors and like flesh trees and rivers of blood and ichor and things like that. So even the herbivores there are carnivores, and if you get his powers you get really big and you can eat a bunch of stuff and you can regenerate, so they're kind of like being like a troll, like in a very literal sense. Shambara took the most time to write. I literally wrote 7 versions of this asshole because he kept turning out a Bill Cipher because I kept having this like recurring vision of this pyramid with this burning eyeball on top. Yeah. And I'm like, that's him. But he's not, he's literally that, but he's also like, he's like the concept of religion for the Ashera. So like all religion is kind of formed around his way of doing things, and he's the equivalent of Cecilene. Oh my god! So his stuff is all about deserts and miracles and religious ritual and like memetics. Like you can turn into all these guys eventually, and his thing is that you kind of get infected with him. Like he's like this madness that just infects people, and so if people interact with you and you talk about this, they get infected with it, and he manifests as those illusions becoming real, like selectively. And it's all a bunch of like weird eyeballs and like fate magic. The other ones are Yamato no Orochi, which is my
Big
version
Titty
of
Goth
Slaanesh.
is confirmed for Wolf.
Yes.
Big Titty Goth is confirmed for Lone Wolf Fist. Yeah.
I'm literally commissioning the splat for them, and that is exactly the splat for
Nice.
Yama.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm not fucking around with that. If you can't have Big Titty Goths in my game, then I failed.
This person asks, so basically Joel made JoJo's Adventure the tabletop? I don't
Yes.
know what that means.
You never played JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Oh,
No.
man. You haven't lived, sir.
As
I got
Norm
introduced to
said
JoJo's.
in Dirty Work, note to self, I do not want to live.
Oh, my God.
Elf Hunter, it sounds so cool because it fucking is.
Yeah. Yeah, like the thing about this is I'm describing things that you can actually do and play in the game. I hate games that like they sell on hype, but when you are down to it, it's just roll a d20 again.
Yeah.
Nah,
No.
man. You got to do something that has more balls than that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, God, what was I up to? Oh, Yamato no Orochi. I'm gonna bullet point this one. Big toxic Hydra thing that has all kinds of drugs and like sex powers. It also gives you like weird rubber-limbed stuff, and you can grow multiple heads. And she has a power where you sprout bunches of heads and attack with them. So if that sounds, yeah. The last one is my favorite one, Chong-Chi. He is, God, okay, he's a primordial ocean filled with chaos and monsters that drag themselves out of it. And also, he is like this invisible monster that's also a courtier. And his big thing is he'll find the most horrible person he can and kind of turn them into like a demagogue and make them like super like politically influential. So I can see that there's at least some chunk of my audience who's going to misuse this for the next at least 4 years.
Oh, sure. But whatever.
And you know what? You have my blessing. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but I like his stuff because he can. He does a lot of really weird stuff. Basically, you can turn into like primordial ocean stuff. So he's kind of the Kimberry of this. So there's a lot of like you hit someone that has these powers and they turn into a giant like ocean of acid and attack you. And there's also a bunch of stuff where you can like tell people lies and twist their minds and manipulate their emotions. And he's just neat, and I love him.
That's awesome.
Take my money.
Take my money. He will take your money.
I will on the first, man. Go sign up for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, sign up for the Kickstarter. Remember, go to the link in the description of the video and go get seriously go click get notified because sometimes we forget about these things. And it's nice to have that email notification and go directly to the Kickstarter and back it as soon as you can in the morning whenever this launches, because these Kickstarters live and die on their first couple of days. And you want as much hype to get thrown behind this on that first day, because that's going to help it rise into discovery in the Kickstarter like algorithm and get it seen in front of more people.
That's how we go from making about 4 or 5K like the last one to making 10K or
exactly
beyond, is if it, because there's like this small sliver of truly awesome individuals that are entirely localized to this chat and my Discord. And then there's this massive like amount of people that have never heard of this and never will without your support. So I highly appreciate it.
So it really makes a big difference if you guys like go sign up to get notified and then back it. If you're going to back it ASAP, like as soon as it happens.
Yeah, it's only $40 for a hardback of this and $80 for a hardback of this and the core game. And if we geek enough, it'll be the updated 1.5 version of the core game with more art. You and remember, lovely people.
Kickstarter does not charge your card until the end of the campaign. When it actually closes, that's when it goes. So if you're like, oh, well, I got to wait a couple weeks until season. It's not how it works. Yeah,
absolutely. And that means you'll have plenty of time to get the gifts you hated from Christmas and return them and
use all of your money on the Lone Wolf Fists Kickstarter. Exactly.
We'll be feeding Kazuki and his children. So thank you.
Yes, it is a superhuman Wuxia setting.
Wuxia. It's easy. It's actually easy to say.
American.
Good man. Yeah, no. It's Wuxia.
Yeah.
Man, some of these, you guys are being so nice to me. Thank you. Usually I get on somewhere and everyone makes fun of me and it makes me sad and I cry.
No, I do have to, there was a comment that made me laugh very hard earlier. Benjamin saying here about the Colts of Zahak cover. He says, I need the ass on that cover in my face. I mean, I need the book so I can cover with my friends.
Both good. There's no wrong answers there.
On the cover of our book.
Yep.
That is a solid price for quality hardback games. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thankfully, and I can actually thank Drive-Thru RPG for that. They reduced their print costs a lot over the last year or so, and it's allowed me to push because it used to be like 60, and now it's like 40.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
like I'm making about the same margin. So yeah, thank you, Drive-Thru RPG. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Bro, this game fucks. Yeah, you're right.
That's correct. Yeah, and I know that it is extremely base to put like hot topless chicks in your game like Exalted Second I did not do that because I want you to be able to play this game with your grandmother if you really want to.
Exactly. It's important to get grandma into RPGs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, trust me. Oh, wow. I forgot how good that piece of art was. Look at that shit.
Yeah. So
that's Kazuki, by the way. You can hire this man, and you should.
Hell yeah.
Wingnewt saying 40 USD is roughly 60 something in Aussie land. That's great in this economy. So many TTRPGs are hitting 120.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough
Yeah,
out there.
it's sad, dude. And I know that you're gonna have to pay to like get it shipped over there too. So like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to I don't want to break your bank. I just want you to play my game.
Yeah. He says, hey man, so long as you make Tiggle Biggie Goth splats, I'm down to check it out. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, this is awesome.
Hell yeah.
I am definitely looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm now exhausted. I want to hear you guys talk for a while.
Sure. Yeah, we got 10, 15 minutes left. So yeah, Colts of Zahak is a Mithras-based product, Mithras Imperative. So really simulationist combat, and the kind of it is a vertical slice of the setting that we're working on for a game that is in the works at the moment. But what it does basically, Zahak is this ancient evil deity within this world, and he's sort of like a Melkor or kind of a Satan figure. So if you're running like mythic Constantinople or something like that, something like a historical setting, it can easily be adapted for that. And he's this kind of like really just like anti-life figure, you know. It's everything that brings humanity down, things like cowardice, despair,
nihilism,
all of those bad things. Those are the values of Zahak, and his followers are people that are people who have given into that despair, you know. And kind of like if you've seen The Witch, when Anya Taylor-Joy basically signs her name,
when she signs that book, she
signs her name in the devil's book, she belongs to him. And so these are truly evil people who know what they're doing. They're not misguided. They're just so broken that they want everyone else to suffer like they do. And so these cults kind of spring up.
Right. And this is sort of the thematic and spiritual axis on which the new magic system we're working on, the black magic, it's about these things. It's about manipulating, destroying, inverting passions, eroding, fraying the threads of social cohesion or family cohesion.
Right. It's
doing everything to instill despair and hopelessness.
Right.
Hoping that you give up, extend the suffering.
The Mithras, your characters, you have kind of 4 options on cultural backgrounds that you can come from. Primitive, barbarian, nomad, and civilized. And so we're making full cults basically for each civilization, one for each. And they're basically antagonist cults that you can put into your game that are doing awful things and very conspiratorial, evil things. These cults, though, like this black magic that Nick has talked about, they practice this dark sorcery that is the power of Zahak, and it kind of, as you become more powerful using it, it's really it's eating your soul kind of a thing. So like
Right.
essentially what's happening, the way we've kind of worked this out is that you have a certain point of your a certain amount of your magic points are going to become what are called diabolism points. And so the higher the rank in the cult that you go, the more diabolism points you have at your disposal.
But at the cost
cost of reducing your magic points. So you can be a sorcerer, and maybe you're a powerful sorcerer, and eventually you dedicate yourself to Zahak, but over time your ability to actually be a sorcerer is diminished. You can only do the black magic in place of this.
Right.
And in order to get the, expended diabolism points back, you have to do really weird stuff. Like you have to like go to sleep with wolves and really creepy things. It's really awesome.
You're communing with things that are inhuman, or places or things which, again, remind you, instill in you that hopelessness.
Yeah, and they the kind of pinnacle of this magic is the creation of these demonic idols of Zahak, these golems. And the golems serve many purposes. One, they are kind of this walking vessel of Zahak out in the world, and this thing that you can worship, and it's this ultimate crime and act against, it's a mockery of life itself. But the other thing is the most powerful rituals, the things that come straight from Zahak himself, they can only be taught to you by the golem. Like you have to sit there and like commune at this thing's feet, and like take its awful evil spirit radiation, to learn this stuff. And so we have rules for creating the golems and how the cults create them, and then sample golems, and they're all really creepy and awesome. And the last part of it is Shadows of Avalok, which is a full city sandbox adventure where there's a whole bunch of more mundane problems going on that are all being exacerbated by a cult underneath all of it, operating in secret.
Right.
It's fucking awesome.
There's a larger, not secret thing, which is causing a lot of problems, which is being capitalized on clandestinely.
Right. They're fanning the flames
king,
of all the existing problems.
Yeah, the king is out on crusade, which he should be doing, but
righteously so.
So.
But he's just
been
gone
gone too long.
Right.
And a kingdom without a king is under threat from subversion.
So we started working. We're really fleshing out some of the spells that these.
They're cool as shit.
They're so fucking cool. Like there's one. So in Mithras, you can bleed to death. Like if you it's a combat special effect, you can cut someone's artery, and they start taking fatigue levels, and then if they take all their fatigue, they die. This is a spell where the sorcerer can cause you to start bleeding from every orifice in your body for a certain number of rounds, which is 1d10 rounds, which is possible that he can just make you bleed to death. And there's no way to stop it if you fail your resistance roll.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just sitting there like weeping blood and like getting weaker during the fight.
Yeah.
You can do things like detach your shadow, and your shadow can move around, kind of like Dracula,
Yeah.
But it's kind of like an astral projection. You can see and hear through it.
Right.
And it can leave and go vast distances, and it can only be hurt by magical means. But if it does get hurt by magical means, you take the damage.
Of course, yeah.
You
can detect the truth in other people's lies and
Yeah.
use that to wrap them around your finger and coerce them and manipulate them. And these are spells in the way Mithras typically behaves for theism and sorcery. It's sort of that level. But truly blasphemous rituals require the desecration of
holy sites,
of holy ground, of sacred spaces. And these are your
really
plagues of
powerful
Egypt level things that can cripple a nation, cripple an entire people, not just politically, but biologically.
They are amplified by, so it's very hard to get to the point of doing ritual magic because you have to have a cult that's operated long enough that one of them has created a golem and become a high priest of Zahak and has communed with the golem and learned the rituals. Then they need to go and desecrate a holy site, and depending on the power level of the, like how holy this place is, that desecration amplifies the effect of the rituals.
Right.
But if you can do that, you can do things like sever all bloodlines in the nation, which basically means that anything, not just anyone, but it could be livestock, it's humans, anyone who's pregnant miscarries for like the next 2 months, and all the parents involved in it, man and woman, are now sterile without magical intervention. So it's like you're causing like massive tragedies. You know, you're causing rivers to turn to blood.
And that's more the point from the Zahakian point of view. It's not I cast meteor swarm on you and I blacktopped the city.
Yeah.
I kind of want you to go on suffering.
Yeah. Suffering, because if you
and I want the people to be scattered.
You're put in that dark place, now your heart may be open to Zahak. And it's like, so this whole thing of this corruption spreading, it's fucking awesome and rad, and it's gonna be really, some of it's pretty gross, I'm not gonna lie, but these are the bad guys.
Right, these are the bad guys.
This is
and
the kind of
someone
stuff
was asking for the good guys, and
the good guys are the game.
You'll see a glimpse of the good guys, and of course you'll get to play some good guys in Shadows over Avalok, but you will get a taste of that because they are there. Zahak has not won by any stretch of the imagination, but he is out there.
It's so
and you need an evil to fight against.
This is the sort of thing, like, if you guys like the World of Darkness stuff, you're gonna love this in fantasy. It's so good. It's so cool. But that's kind of that's the pitch at the moment. Is lots of evil to fight and destroy.
Indeed.
And I'm sure someone's going to make a character that uses this stuff at some point. There's nothing we can do to stop them, but we don't recommend that they do that.
You got to have good bad guys, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's the bottom line. If you don't have good bad guys, you just don't have a compelling game.
Shape Take saying, reminds me of Lucifer from Paradise Lost. That is
indeed
exactly correct. Yeah. We got a question here, Andrew McGraw. I don't really have any lunars. Maybe the Emerald Kirin. They're culturally similar. Yeah. Oh, that's you.
Yeah, you can see my beautiful mug.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's this jerk? Ban him from chat.
They're talking about Cults of Zahak, the third-party Mithras supplement. Correct. You go to Kickstarter.com and go search Cults of Zahak. You're going to find it. It's not in the link's not in this description because we wanted you to go and back Joel's Kickstarter here, but if you like Mithras and you like this stuff, this is Cults of Zahak. It's going to be really good. Yeah. It's going to be really good.
Yep.
Yes, it's made for Mithras Imperative, which is the orc licensed version of Mithras. Yeah. Make someone weep blood and turn them to stone, then you've got a creepy bleeding statue. That's true.
Indeed.
Oddly refreshing to have evil that is actually transgressive and not just wearing skulls.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. The more I learn about this book, the more I care for it. Nice. That's some Pillars of Eternity level of curse. Yeah. Zahak is almost like the Antichrist. Yeah, not for. I mean, it's more like Satan, I would say.
He's
Lucifer.
He's not.
Yeah.
Thank you, Malak.
Physically embodied, like.
Yeah, he's not like a.
He's not walking around. Yeah. He's not a guy.
He's a spiritual evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done worse than kill you. I've hurt you, and I wish you to go on hurting you.
Right.
Exactly. Did you see the Bronstein idea I posted on the locals? Yes, I did. I didn't have time to respond at the moment though. But it does sound fucking cool. Doing like an all-night RPG game, basically starting at like 9 or 10 at night and going until dawn.
Okay.
With certain things happening. I think it takes place in a hospital. I may have missed that, but it sounds fucking rad.
That sounds cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing more.
All right, let me find this guy and I'll ban him.
Get rid of that smug SOB. Get him out of here.
It's Joel. This is the joke.
Oh. Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, that's
all right.
I think we got it. We filled that.
We got
in
our
10
shilling
minutes.
in.
We got our shilling in for our stuff as well. But we got a super chat here. Come on, where are you at?
It said that bad guys in modern Turks are just watered down Mickey Mouse. Lone Wolf and Colts making bad guys great again.
Yeah,
you're right.
You got to have good bad guys. You can have good guys.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Joe Biden. More accurate.
Yeah.
AI. There we go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It really is Joe Biden.
Yeah. Anyhow, I do think we do have to wrap up here. We've been going for 2 hours.
Indeed.
This was just a ton of fun, man. You are welcome to come back on. We're looking forward to this, and I cannot wait to see the success that this Kickstarter has because it's gonna be fucking rad.
Hell yeah.
I already feel the fists unifying. It feels good, folks.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, guys. We're gonna end the stream here. We will talk to you all
Talk to you next
soon,
time.
and
Happy Thanksgiving.